JayBratts, welcome back to the channel, and today is finally the day. We've been waiting for this only like a month now, I guess, since they announced it or so. But Oculus Quest 2 is finally here. Let's just tear this thing open. Let's get into it. Libby's trying to hang out on my lap, but that's not gonna work. You want the box, I know. Get down, I'll give you the box. All right, this thing, you don't even need an unboxing knife for it. It has this little tab on it here that you just pull, and it practically unboxes itself. I think if you pull it really carefully, it'll go all the way around. Nope, almost. Okay, good enough. I'm not gonna spend any time on the box. You already know, Facebook Horizon, Star Wars, all that's coming out. We're excited, but we want what's in the box. All right. It's got an Oculus symbol on it. It's a good sturdy box. It's very cardboard looking, but it feels sturdy, so it might be nice to keep it. Ooh, you get like a load of factory air to the face. That was kind of weird. All right, look at these. Interesting. So these feel plasticky. They don't have kind of the same grips as the old one, but they feel good in hand. Buttons feel like they use the same trigger pulls and everything. They don't feel any better there. They feel a little cheaper. They feel pretty solid, at least, but like the plastic on them just feels like it might be cheaper. Maybe it's just because there isn't that texture to it, but hey, we got those. These I'm interested because some people said they thought these were worse than the old ones. Ooh, they're scratchy. I could see maybe that's why they felt like those old ones were terrible though. These, I can't imagine they'd be any worse. These are bad, but the old wrist straps were terrible. So these are an improvement over something that was not good. They already have the batteries installed. They have a tab to pull out to activate the batteries, so that's pretty cool. All right. You got what? Books and crap, probably the charger and stuff. Yep, books and crap. And charger looks exactly the same as the old one, except white instead of black. So basic, we're not gonna have to worry about that right away. A little more Oculus branding, 1, 2, 3. It's a very simple box. They definitely saved some money on packaging, so that's another reason this is cheaper. All right. Wow, this thing is noticeably light. Noticeably light. It's got a protective thing here we take off and get rid of. And then you're actually feeling the headset. Feels very light. Feels decent. I like that it's not clothing. I hated that cloth on the old ones. This feels like plastic, but it feels quality enough, so I don't think that's bad. It's got this here telling you move the lenses left or right, so we're gonna have to try that out. I don't know how you take this off without damaging it. And then it's got those that cover the lenses that you take off there. It tells you no liquid cleaners and no sunlight. So they're doing their job in protecting your lenses. And then here's the test. So these, you move them in and out for the IPD. It's a substantial click. It feels like a solid click. It's not like a wishy-washy, oh, did it move or not? It's obvious. And it feels quality. It feels like it's gonna last there a while. So I like that. You get a glasses spacer in case you need that. That's cool too. Boy, that strap is terrible. That strap is like Gear VR failed at making a strap and made it somehow worse. I don't like that at all. Ew. Ew, it's like sharp on the edge. It's like a razor on top of my ears. That's terrible. I'm gonna look really weird, but I feel like you have to put this over your ears or you'd have to run it up higher than your ears as your only choice. Because you put it like that, it's pushing right there and it's sharp. That feels awful. The face pad also doesn't feel amazing. It feels very squishy and it feels like it's just gonna absorb sweat like crazy. So yeah, there's gonna be some things we probably need to replace on this. We'll definitely play with it and see how we feel, but I'm already planning to replace this immediately. Probably be replacing this very shortly. I don't really love the way that feels. And I didn't realize the wrist straps, but I'm gonna have to replace those too because I don't like that. So hey, let's go check this thing out and see what it's like actually in use. So far, all I've done is get the Quest set up on my phone and get the games downloaded that I have. And I gotta say, already, being in here, it's like wow clear in comparison to the old Quest, to the screen on it. Even compared to the Rift S, like, the screen clarity is really good. I'm very impressed by that. I know this is like pretty high resolution, so it's not surprising, but also the screen door effect, I mean, you have got to look for it. The head strap though is terrible. I tried putting it like, I know it's not supposed to be super low, but putting it kind of low actually is almost more comfortable for me because it gets it off the top of my ears. I just push my ears and I look really weird, but it definitely feels a little better down there. Same problem with the old Quest I have with the new one, surprisingly. You like when you land the Quest on your face, you kind of want to land it low on your cheekbones, at least with my face shape, but that makes stuff blurry. So I have to like lift it up just a little higher than it feels like it should be, and the whole time it kind of feels like it's like then pushing down on my cheeks. Can't do anything about that. The controllers feel decently good in hand. They definitely, I wouldn't say they feel any better than the old ones. The big shape and the spot to rest your thumb is a little nice, but I always just rested my thumb up here anyway, so I didn't notice that. Like the spot they made to rest your thumb, you like have to reach over to get there. So I don't really feel that being any better. These new wrist straps are scratchy on your wrist. They don't feel good at all. And they still get loose-ish, but not nearly as loose as the old ones would. They'd get like fully loose and it basically was like not even having a wrist strap on. So there is a lot of pluses. The IPD I am struggling with a little bit. I usually measure out at about a 69, and this goes to a 68, which you think that would be absolutely fine. But I am noticing it. When I look around, I'm noticing that things get a little weird. And if I put the lenses in more, of course it gets really bad. I can't get them out more, but I definitely am not quite in the sweet spot with both eyes at the same time. What does help a little bit, so maybe I can remedy this, if I push the Quest into my eyes a little bit, it seems to help get me a little closer to that sweet spot, which is a trick we knew from the old Windows Mixed Reality headsets. And as a result of that, a lot of us switched out our padding with thinner padding, so maybe I can get some thinner face padding. Let's play some games. I want to check out Vader Immortal, because as I am sensing already when the screen goes dark, you're going to notice that we're missing the OLED that we had in the original panel, which was nice because it was like a true black. This right here, it's like a smeary gray. So like where you saw that little loading screen and there was gray outside around him, the part that was supposed to be black beyond that looked barely a different shade of gray than that obvious gray. So that's going to hurt the experience. Boy, the load times aren't any better on Vader Immortal. I feel like this is taking a long time to load this game. That new processor I would think would speed this up a bit, but it is slow. Oh my goodness. This head strap is not doing me any favors. I feel like I need to tighten it more so it won't roll around. I'll play a little in the dojo just to see how it is without headphones on, see what these sound like. At least the speakers are now directed towards your ears, it looks like, which is better. The directional audio is still there. You can definitely tell what side of you the sounds are coming from, but that doesn't mean that it sounds good. The audio quality through the speakers are still not great, but it does seem a little better. Could just be because they're brand new speakers and haven't been blasted a whole bunch. The location, the biggest thing about these new controllers that I like so far is that the buttons being outside, that's actually cool, so I can show you on here. The buttons, instead of being right below the X like it used to be, it's over here. You don't accidentally press as much. That is a big benefit. I will give it that. Let's see how Pistol Whip is. Seriously, the load times are not crazy good. I'm shocked by the load times. Pistol Whip. Yep, hearing the Pistol Whip intro, I can tell you right there, the bass speaker's still flat and terrible. So we're gonna just switch to headphones at this point. So a weird problem to have, I tried using earbuds that I use with my Rift S all the time. They work fine. I was getting way less audio out of my left ear. So I'm switching to a set of over-ears I have, which actually I feel like they're made for the PSVR, but they might start selling again for the Quest because I feel like they look like they match. The problem now is I've got the strap over my ears and I'm trying to use these under my ears. So what I'm going to try and do, oh gosh, this is horrible. This strap is a horrible experience. Get rid of this thing first thing. So if I were to make those comfortable, I need to have the strap up this high on my head. And still, there's just no way with how terrible this strap is to get my over-ear headphones feeling really good with it. You're just kind of effed. This strap is a deal breaker. You've got to, if you're going to buy a Quest 2, get a strap to replace it with. It's uncomfortable. It's screwing up my experience. I'm having a hard time dealing with it. And I'm a veteran of VR. I know how to get around things. This This head strap is just awful. I won't be able to let you see or hear much of this because it'll get claimed. So I'll just play it real quick and I'll tell you about it.
Are you afraid of the dark?
So the extra clarity is making a big difference. There is definitely less field of view.
With Quest 2, it is a single LCD screen, and the lenses move on top of it, and they only move to 3 separate positions. We've got kind of a standard, a narrow, and a wide. And in wide, because it is just a single screen, when you move them all the way out, you do wind up sacrificing some field of view.
The problem is at this point, I'm maxing out the IPD slider, and I'm seeing not less but around binoculars, but I'm actually seeing the edge of each screen. I'm seeing a black bar here and a black bar here on either side. So it is hurting the field of view here, having one solid panel. Yeah, I didn't really notice until I was playing the game. The clarity makes up for it, though. You can see the game so clear, but in a game like Pistol Whip where you have people coming from your sides, it's too obvious when you've lost field of view. Yeah, that's a big loss right there. I will say that's a downside. We gotta play Beat Saber, so we gotta test the tracking. Let's see if we can mess up the tracking here. The clarity is really nice. The frame rate, I know it should still only be running at 72, but it seems like it's just running so much smoother. On the original Quest, you really feel the struggle that it has to run Beat Saber a lot of times. Which people say, oh, Beat Saber's not a very demanding game. It is. It's actually the reason I upgraded my RAM on my PC, because trying to do it and capture it would just bulk up and run out of RAM. I played like 4.5 hours of this in multiplayer, so I'm really sore and I'm really struggling to get through this song right now. But every mess up I've had so far, I would say is a result of my soreness. It's not anything to do with the tracking that I can tell. That was a terrible run, but I will do more in-depth testing and I'll play a lot of Beat Saber tomorrow in different environments around the house to see. But I definitely would say so far from that one test, it's not any worse than the normal Quest, which is also not known for having great tracking. Yeah, the screen is so clear, but the blacks definitely so far not great. They're probably about the same as on the Rift S. They're not worse at all. I'll know more when I get into this game whether they're better or not. The graphics are definitely simpler on here than they are on PC, but they look really good. It's still easily as convincing of a game with Saints and Sinners. I'll do a full deep dive on this game on the channel, especially versus PC and stuff. So I'm not going to play too much of it here. I just really wanted to see how the environments looked when it was darker, weighing heavily on my cheeks, and it's soaking up sweat really bad. So the face pad, like I said, the second thing to go. Wrist straps are third. So this is definitely the first VR headset that I can say you have to mod this thing. It does not, I would not say in its current state they send it to you that I find it an acceptable headset. Yeah, I'm definitely missing the OLED. These look like, when you look at this, like this should be dark. Any area that should be like dark, even that, it's just gray. It's a dark gray, but it's a gray. So that definitely hurts it a little bit. I will knock it for that, but I know they were trying to make it cheap and light, and you can't do that with OLED. So, like I would love to see this be dark, and this it just looks gray. The screen definitely, being LCD, it doesn't have as good of blacks, but the clarity really stands out. I'll show you a quick clip from Tyrael Wood, who's done a through the lens of the Quest 2 versus the Index and the G2, which the G2 is supposed to be known as like this new 4K headset, supposed to have one of the highest resolutions of any headset out there for consumers. I'll show you that real quick. So you can see here, the Quest 2 actually looks nicer at the focal point than even the Valve Index does. And then the G2, it's a slight bit clearer, but it's hard to even tell. So this Quest 2 really stands up to scrutiny as far as screen clarity. I miss OLED. I have missed it for years now, since I had a CV1 and a PSVR. As the industry is moving away from them, they're too heavy, their refresh rates aren't necessarily fast enough because you'll get like black smear and stuff when you're moving your head. There's a lot of reasons the industry is moving away from them, but there's nothing quite like playing a horror game where you look into a dark house and it's actual darkness. It's not a gray smear. Nothing removes me more in a dark game, pulls me out of the immersion than that. So I'm hoping at some point OLED technology will catch up to where we can make them lighter, cheaper, and put them back in all headsets, because we're losing that in all of the major headsets right now. I think you're going to have to replace some parts on it. This is terrible. The Quest 2 is light enough that you don't notice it for a little while, except if you're like me and this thing's digging into your ear immediately, you'll notice that right away. But if you put it out over your ears, you won't notice it too soon because it is lightweight, but it's not going to hold you through hours of play. The foam on here is literally an absorbent pad. It soaks up sweat like crazy. So those two things right there, I'd say have got to go. The controller straps are the other ones. I don't like that. I took it through a lot of testing in Beat Saber, and I can say that I have not found the tracking to be any worse than the original Quest, especially with the fact that I have my Quest controllers modded with heavy duty springs. Nat also took some time and played it as well, because she notices a lot of the tracking issues when she's playing. She couldn't find anything wrong with it either. So I don't think that, at least in my environment, the rumors about it being worse than the Quest 1 are substantiated. But I will say, if you're coming from an Index, if you're coming from even from a Rift S, you're probably going to notice the tracking isn't quite as good, because it's known already the Quest is not as good as the Rift S inside out with its camera placement, and then of course the Index being the best tracking there is. It does work. You can play most games, especially if you're not playing Expert Plus songs on Beat Saber, you might never even notice the problems. $300 is an insane price. It's hard not to recommend this headset at that price. That's less than most consoles. This puts it in the realm of reachability for most people. That is a crazy price. I have a friend who works at Best Buy, and he said they got about 100 of them in on day one, and by the end of the day they only had 20 left. So I bet we're going to see these things sell out really quick. It's hard not to recommend this at this price unless you have an issue personally with Facebook and their new policies about you having to have a Facebook account. If that's a deal breaker, then yes, do not get this headset. But otherwise, I would say I still recommend this headset to everyone, but know with the caveats that you're going to pretty quickly have to invest in some accessories if you want to actually play this thing for a while and be comfortable. And know that if you're also locking yourself into that Quest market of games, Quest games don't tend to go on sale as much, and they usually stay at full price even years after they were released on PC. So you always have the potential to sideload things onto these. You have the potential to plug into a PC, but if you're just getting the Quest to play things through the Quest store, you are going to be paying more for games in the long run. It's an impressive piece of tech. I will give them that. It's impressive that they've gotten all this into this package for the low price they have. If you already have a Quest, it's not really necessary to upgrade to this, but the problem is going to be if they start making exclusives for the Quest 2, like we're already seeing in Rec Room. Some of the quests in Rec Room that you couldn't play on the Quest 1, they're now going to bring to the Quest 2. So if we start seeing that with games being exclusive to the Quest 2, then that's going to ruin that strategy for you, and you're going to have to upgrade. But otherwise, if you had a Quest 1 right now, I'd say you're totally fine to wait and hold off on buying this. But if you have no VR headset right now, this is the one to get if you want to get in. Especially if you didn't have a PS4 or a PC, this is everything. This is the whole of VR, except for maybe some really big games. But the whole of VR beyond that is offered through this headset. That's impressive. I've got more coming out for the Quest 2 soon. I have a company sent me some attachments so I can FrankenQuest this thing. So I will be doing that very short. They'll actually show you probably a free, easy method to do the FrankenQuest with first. So that way you don't have to buy those 3D printed accessories they're sending me. And then I'll also review those 3D printed accessories separately. I'll be covering a lot in the Quest 2. This is a big headset. This is a big headset for the VR industry as a whole. This can really help us push towards mainstream, because the biggest reason that when I show people VR, they ask is, can I get a wireless one? People hate that cable. It's a pain. I know it is. You know it is. People really hate it. It makes a big difference to have a wireless. So this can really take us the rest of the way there. Have you got a Quest 2? What do you think of it? What do you think of it versus the Quest 1 if you had one? I'd love to hear it from you. Let me know in the comment section. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I know this is probably a pretty long review, but I really wanted to go in depth on this thing as it is. And then down the road, we'll do after we've had a Quest 2 for a while review as well. So that anything else that comes out as I play it more, I'll be able to tell you about. But thank you for hanging out with me today. I will see you in another reality. I want to say a massive thank you to our 6 patrons now. K27, Rocket Sauce 28, Fred Nepetebo, Ege Karatash, K Panda K, and Maddie's. Thank you so much for supporting the channel.